9, 8.
You're watching The
7,
Experience, Comic Culture,
6,
and Sales.
5,
Streaming live daily to
4,
Facebook, YouTube,
3,
Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
The question is Dan okay? Well, Dan is back. I'm here. I don't think anybody has accused me of being okay in a long time. Weird, obnoxious, odd. Yeah, but okay? No. All right, guys, I am back. It has been an interesting couple of weeks. I will catch you up on what happened, and we'll talk about some of the things going on in entertainment and pretty straightforward stuff. But I appreciate you guys. I know a lot of you have been checking in to see how I've been doing. Again, I'm going to give you the rundown, but I do appreciate it. I appreciate Ed reaching out to me through Facebook. I know Jay says you guys have been reaching out to him. Again, it's very appreciated. So let's go ahead. We're going to jump into the show and try to get back to normal. So here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. And I don't have a show planned. I don't have news worked out. I don't have, key collectibles or any of that. I thought today what we'll do is we'll just jump back in and I'll tell you guys what happened and just go from there. And maybe tomorrow we'll get back to our normal format. So, but I want to talk about something different first. I don't know how many of you know this, but I used to travel a lot with Tone Rodriguez. He lived in West Hollywood at the time. I lived here in, just outside of LA, and we did conventions together. We became really good friends, and we drove everywhere. We're both big guys, so what we would do is I had my truck and I would pick him up and then we would drive straight through to Dallas or straight through to Seattle or Victoria Island we went to one time. Arizona, we went to a bunch of cons together and we were always set next to each other, watched each other's tables. And for a good handful of years, Tone and I just went everywhere together. We were like a package deal. Somebody would offer Tone a table and he'd get me one. It was great. And we've kind of drifted apart since then. He got married, moved to Arizona, and then I think to Louisiana. But, he's still a good friend and I wish the best for him. But he posted this morning that his wife is now in final stages of cancer. And it just broke my heart. Tone is such a big sweetheart. He's such a wonderful guy. And April has been so good for him. And the two of them together have been great. And I just want to send my love and prayers to Tone and April. It just breaks my heart, like I said. So, yeah, if you know Tone, keep him in your thoughts, keep April in your thoughts. And like I said, my heart just goes out to them. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so where have I been? It started a couple weeks back. For some of you know that I was in the hospital about a year and a half ago, and I missed some shows then. And what happened is I had cellulitis. Cellulitis is a skin infection, and it usually goes with people who are diabetic and who are heavy. It's in the lower legs. It can be difficult to treat. It can really cause ulcers and bad wounds on your legs that are hard to heal. And I started getting it in Christmas of, let's see, this is 2023, 2022, Christmas of 2021, but it was undiagnosed until early January. And then when it was figured out, it was decided I needed to go to a wound care center, but my insurance company didn't have a contract with one. So they tried to send me to everything else. They sent me to a dermatologist, a plastic surgeon, a surgeon, just bounced me around, and every single one of them looked at the wounds, went, I can't do anything for that. You need a wound care center. This proceeded until June. So from the end of January to the middle of June, when my legs got so infected, I thought I had the flu, and it turned out to be worse than that. But I didn't realize how bad until I actually had maggots in one of my wounds. So I saw that, covered the wound back up, drove myself to the emergency room, and ended up in the hospital for 5 days on intravenous fluids and IV antibiotics. And it was a whole horrible thing because I'm 6'6", and the beds they have at the hospital are too short for me, so I could never actually stretch out, have my legs straight. And 4 or 5 days in the hospital was just hell. Then my insurance company finally got me into a wound care center. I've been dealing with that. I go there twice a week. I have a nurse comes out and doing bandage changes and stuff like that. So what you see is fine. What's down here, it's been a long, rough road. But I'm getting to the point where the legs are almost healed. The wounds that had gone down to the bone at some point have filled in, and I've probably got a few months more, but they're coming along. The problem was I went through a couple, I missed an appointment because of the holiday. They weren't open. And then the nurse came out. I went to the wound care center. That night, I started feeling like I had the flu again. Spent about a week spent about 5 days feeling like I had the flu. And that's when the nurse noticed my leg had turned very red and told me to take myself back to the emergency room, which I knew meant another set of days in a bed too tiny for me and just hell. But I went, and sure enough, the infection was back in my left leg, and I was back on IV antibiotics, one of which called vancomycin, which is very specific to a type of infection that they weren't certain I had or not. But they put me on it just in case, while they waited for the swabs. And then they took me off of it because vancomycin can screw up your kidneys bad. And suddenly the numbers on my kidneys were not good. So by Saturday, they had the infection under control, but they kept me another day because trying to make sure my kidneys were coming back. And I finally got out of the hospital last Sunday, came home on a batch of oral antibiotics, and it took about 3 days to realize that the antibiotic they sent me home with I was allergic to. So that had to change, and it took a few more days to get it out of my system. And I'd say today is the first day that I've felt mostly normal in over 2 weeks. So the interesting thing is the existing wounds are fine. They didn't get any worse. This didn't do any setbacks. My right leg is fine. It's still continuing like nothing. The left leg is where the infection was. When you get the infection, it makes your legs swell up to the point where the skin on it starts to crack. So when you get the infection taken care of, it goes back down and you end up with a bunch of dead skin all over your legs. It's been pretty weird. And that may be way more than you guys wanted to know. But I thought you deserved it. You deserve the right to know what's going on because you guys come here every day and you listen and you talk and you share. So I think you guys deserve to know what was going on. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm still taking antibiotics. I'm resting still. I'm not fully back up to 100%. I'm not cooking anything. I'm not crocheting. I haven't painted anything. I pretty much, at this point, I do work and then I get back into bed. But like I said, today is the first day I've felt pretty good. I've been up for quite a few hours and I definitely feel like I can do the show, and I will do the show this week. And I think by the end of the week, I should be back to pretty good full speed. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But that's pretty much what's going on. The infection's under control. We're just staying with the antibiotics to keep it down. I'm still seeing a doctor and nurse every other day to get these legs under control. But yeah. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that a lot. So, like I said, I appreciate you guys, your concern, and you're coming back, so that is means a lot to me. So, all right. I do have some stuff I want to talk about today. If you guys have any questions, hope you just keep getting better, dude. Thank you, Triple B. Thank you very much. I got people in my corner keeping an eye on me, so I should be good. I feel kind of bad. On Saturday, I was sitting here, and I do a lot of work with Dynamite and Nick Barucci. But Nick's an old friend. We've been friends for a lot of years. And he called me up Saturday to see how I was doing. And I immediately went, all right, so what you need? Because in my mind, I work with him and I do stuff. And when he calls, he needs something posted. He needs a PR written. He needs something done. And he really just called to check on me. And I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with that. So, Nick, if you see this, thank you for calling. I do appreciate it. My mind all right now is get better, get work done, get better, get work done. So, all right. I am caught up on Only Murders in the Building. I am caught up on Ahsoka. I watched all of season 1 and what's released so far of season 2 of Welcome to Wrexham. I have thoughts on Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. And I have a new book. And we're going to talk about the book first. A few years ago, when Castle was on the air with Nathan Fillion, they started releasing novels written by Richard Castle that you could buy and read. And they were supposed to be the books he wrote. Now, they were always short. They were never like full-length novels. You know, they're like 200 pages, 300 pages. Not like good-sized thrillers like, you know, Tom Clancy would write. But they were entertaining. And I would pick them up. So when they announced this earlier this year, I had to get it. Look Out for the Little Guy by Scott Lang. Now, I haven't started reading it yet. I've skimmed it. There's some fun stuff on it. The back of the book is hilarious. It says an ant's eye view of what it's like to be an Avenger, including the official insider's accounts of the Avengers' battle with Thanos. And it's true. They take the scene where Scott goes to meet with Cap and Nat and tell them about the time travel stuff. They expand on that and how Steve and Nat explained to Scott what happened, because he was in the quantum realm. So he doesn't know about Thanos or any of that stuff. So it's pretty interesting to hear how they describe the loss to Thanos. I mean, it's pretty fascinating. But on the back of the book, it has some quotes. And the quotes are all from people in universe. You have Dr. Bruce Banner, who says, introduces the man behind the hero and the hero I called friend. Sam Wilson, Captain America. When the other Avengers wondered who should write a book about us, I knew Scott was the guy. He's been full of surprises since the day we met, and this book is no exception. Everyone should read it. Dr. Stephen Strange. If you always hoped Ant-Man would write a book, you're in luck. I confess I did not. But I enjoyed it all the same. Clint Barton wrote, I can't think of a better person to tell the world what it's like to be an Avenger than Scott. This book hits the mark. And finally, Christina Everhart, who has been a character in the Marvel Universe since Iron Man 1, has popped up in a bunch of stuff, says, funny, intense, and honest, the transparency we have been waiting for from our superpowered citizens. So I think that's pretty clever. It's a cool looking book. It's got a lot of pictures in it. But one of the things I like is that in between chapters, they have this thing called FAAMQ, which I assume means frequently asked Ant-Man questions. And he answered 3 short ones in a row. And I wanted to read those. He says, some questions I get a lot are quick to answer. Question, can you explain exactly how the time heist worked? Answer, no, I can't. Question, is all the size shifting going to cause permanent damage to your body? Answer, great question. Apparently, PEM particles can have an effect on brain chemistry, but Hank designed the Ant-Man helmet to prevent that. And I always wear it because of my brain's already been through enough. But otherwise, according to my physician, all my numbers remain the same, with the possible exception of my cholesterol, but that's due less to Ant-Man's suit than to all too easy access to pizza. And finally, question, how on earth are you supposed to find parking in San Francisco? His answer, let's just say there are more advantages to being able to shrink your car. So there's humor, there's some expanded scenes. I'm going to sit down and read this probably this week. So hopefully I can give you guys a better review of it. But so far it looks pretty fun. Yeah, the Doctor Strange quote is great. So, all right. Let's go ahead. We're going to take our first break. And we come back, we'll talk about the writer's strike looking like it's coming to a conclusion, what it means for the SAG strike, and talk about a few other things. So we'll be right back.
Did you know that every Experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
According to a statistic that I just made up, people spend 4 hours a day changing the television channel. People who watch The Experience don't do that. Save yourself a ton of time by tuning into The Experience and enjoying our new original programming 7 days a week. And then tell your friends. Think about the money they could save on batteries in the remote alone just by tuning into The Experience. Find out more by scanning the QR code below.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. We got a good lineup tonight after, well, not immediately after this, but about an hour after the show is Minute to Skim It with Jay and Kyle and Miss Jen. And then Mint Hunter is on tonight. So we have a good lineup. This just came in from Variety. They're saying that the Golden Globes is going to add 2 new categories this January, assuming that the Golden Globes are going to air this January, if it doesn't get bumped again. But the 2 categories, one is for Best Performance in Stand-Up Comedy, which is on television, which is great because there's a lot of great comedic specials out there, and they get lumped into comedy specials, and they kind of their own thing and should be. And then the other thing is they're going to have a category called the Golden Globe for Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. And this is basically for films that make a lot of money. So often we see Golden Globes go to the little artsy films and stuff. And it's like, well, I've never seen any of those movies. You know, I went to go see Ant-Man and, Guardians of the Galaxy and A Haunting in Venice. And I didn't see these other things. Well, that's what this is going to do. Is now any film that makes gross over 150 million during its release, with 100 of it being domestic, will be eligible for this category. So it's a chance to put popular films against each other instead of the artsy films. So that seems like a good idea to me. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Butler. How you doing? Thank you, sir. I'm glad to be back. So, all right, let's talk about the Writers Guild and the potential deal. Now, it's not confirmed yet. We don't know exactly what's in it. But the way that the leaders of the WGA were talking, it sounds like they got most of what they wanted, or feel that it's enough that they can get their people behind it. And this is good, because we're already starting to see shows being canceled, and we're seeing the fallout of it. I know earlier this year, there was a lot of backlash against Stephen Amell, because he came out and talked about the strike and how he didn't think that was a good way to handle it. His concern being that he had a show that he works hard on, and the crew works hard on, everybody works hard on, out, and he couldn't promote it. He couldn't post things about it. He couldn't, anything. And he was afraid that the numbers wouldn't be there for the show to get renewed. And he felt that it was because of the strike and that there should be some better way to work it out. And maybe there was, I don't know. But as of yesterday, his show Heels was canceled. It did not get a third season. The numbers weren't good enough. Now, had he been out there promoting it, would it have been better? Maybe. But I can't blame him for being upset about that or thinking that there should have been a better way, that, the two sides should have just locked themselves into a room until they got it solved. Because striking, while it does tend to work and we get this deal coming up, it hurts a lot of people because, and I just feel like there should have been, maybe arbitration, have both sides put in everything and then have somebody independent come up with a fair deal. I don't know. It just, striking tends to hurt as much as it helps. So I hope people don't hold a grudge against Stephen Amell for what he said, because he didn't come out and say, we shouldn't, he didn't come out and cross picket lines or anything like that. He just wanted to promote a show that he was working hard on. So, hey, John, good to see you. All right, so what does the WGA deal mean? Well, with SAG-AFTRA still out there, it doesn't mean things are going to get back up and running. They're not going to suddenly start shooting Deadpool 3 and finish that. The odds of it being ready for its release date are slim. Captain America 4, all these things look like they're going to get pushed back. Now, word is that SAG-AFTRA is going to meet with the AMTP or whatever that is, AMATP, within the next few days. Hopefully, they will find a way to get past it and get the resolve as well. And I think there's a good chance they will, because one of the big things has been AI. And I think the studios realize that it's a no-starter for them. They're not going to get anywhere with AI. So hopefully they'll make a deal and things can get back in production, because we've already lost June, July, August, September, 4 months worth of work. Now, the good thing is, with the writer's strike looking like it's going to end, that allows certain projects to start moving forward again. Now, it doesn't get us any actors on set, but for example, Batman the Brave and the Bold. We know they want Andy Muschietti to be the director. Now they, if the WGA signs the deal, then they can go out and find a writer, get the script started on. Yeah, Stars is a tough one. I'm not a wrestling fan, so I don't know if I would have watched it if I had access to it. But I do like Stephen Amell, so kind of a mixed. But so scripts can get worked on again once it's taken care of. So that's good. And I'm hoping that this will start moving things forward. But there's a lot of things waiting to go into production. So writers, there'll probably be a lot of announced signings. You'll see a lot of big names suddenly on projects, because I think that a lot of writers have been out of work and they're going to just take that first project and get started. I don't know if they're going to be as selective. So you may hear some pretty big names suddenly signing on to unexpected projects just to make big money and get going. So, the Batman, the Brave, and the Bold could end up with a huge writer on it and stuff like that, because they're going to want to jump in on big budget projects to get started again. Um, I think as long as the actors work this out over the next month and we can go into November production wise, I think we'll still need to move things back, but I think it'll definitely start moving forward again. Ed says, I didn't either, but it surprised me. Anything new was coming out with the strikes on. Yeah, they're still putting things out there that they had finished, but they couldn't promote it, and it's killing the shows. Spartacus was amazing. I thought Spartacus was a great show and had so many good actors, and it's amazing how many of those actors ended up right into the CW pipeline. And all the Manu Bennett and all these guys coming off as Spartacus into the Arrowverse. I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah, John Cena and Dwayne Johnson doing wrestling appearances is interesting. They canceled Young Rock. That surprised me. I thought that was doing well. But again, so hey, Kenneth, good to see you. Yep, some made it on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, Lucy Lawless ended up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think, for an episode. Katrina Law, like I said, Manu Bennett. I don't remember the actor's name, but he was the gladiator with the limp who then went on to play Captain Boomerang. Yeah. So, yeah, and then the guy who took over as Spartacus became Weather Wizard. So, yeah, they pulled a lot from Spartacus. There was definitely somebody who was casting Spartacus was definitely working for the Arrowverse. So, all right. So, yeah, I think we'll find out what happens with the WGA this week. And then hopefully the Screen Actors Guild will sign off pretty quickly, come up with their deal, and we can get things back to work and we can start promoting things again. And, because all these delays are driving me nuts. So, then again, I'm not getting to the theater. I haven't seen a Haunting in Venice, and that's killing me. I so want to see that. I love Kenneth Branagh doing Agatha Christie. So, all right. I wanted to talk about a show that I didn't expect to like, but I had some time laying around, and I started watching Welcome to Wrexham. Now, I know very little about soccer or football. I played it in high school. I haven't really watched many games. I try to catch it when it's on the Olympics, but it's a tough sport to really like, to really get into if you don't know it. And I think part of what makes people love football, soccer, is the camaraderie. Because there's so many of these small little towns and cities that have their own team, and they become the heart of that city. We have some of that with like American football. You get cities like Philadelphia, where the Eagles become the heart of the city, that type of thing. But it's much more common with European football. So I thought, I didn't really know what Welcome to Wrexham was, but I like Ryan Reynolds. He's kind of a marketing genius when you think about it. So I was really curious. And they had the full first season, which was 18 episodes, and starting the second season. So I sat down to watch the first episode, and it's what I expected in the first episode, is that well, thank you, John. I appreciate that. Hopefully, we'll be kicking off the Kickstarter for Karma 2 soon. Not sure why it hasn't happened yet, but hopefully soon. So the first episode of Welcome to Wrexham is Rob McElhaney from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who's a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan, who finds out there's an opportunity to buy this soccer team in Wales. He has no other connection to it. He has no, he's not Welsh. He has no family there. He's not a big soccer fan. He knows very little about soccer. But he's good friends with Ryan Reynolds, even though they've never met. They've just talked online. So he reaches out to Ryan and says, hey, you want to buy this club with me? And they talk and decide they want to try. And they have to go through a lot of hoops to make this happen, because there's a board that have to approve the sale of the people in the city of Wrexham. So they have to put a pitch together, and they have to be convincing, because the people don't want someone just to come in and break up the team and sell the stadium and all this stuff. They want someone to come in and love the team as much as they do. And the pitch they put together talks about the city, the people wanting to bring it back. And the fact is that this soccer team, the way the soccer league works is there's like 5 levels, and they're all professional. But how well you do, you can move up and down in these leagues. There's the Premier League, the Championship League. There's 2 other leagues, and then there's this low league, and then I think there's even lower than that. And Wrexham has been in that 5th tier for 15 years and haven't been able to promote back out of it. And you can get back out of it by winning the division, winning the league that year. You move up, and somebody from the other league moves down. The worst team comes down, that type of thing. So the whole thing is that they want to get in there. And the reason they want to promote is the amount of money in the 5th tier that you make is like $1 million less than what you make in the next league up. The payroll for the entire team would be covered if they could promote 1 level up. And that's what they're trying to do. So you get this episode about that. And then we get an episode about the team and the people who work there and the existing coach. And so you start getting the reality side of it. And there's a lot of humor from Rob and Ryan, but there's also a lot of heart from the people that work there. And then you get an episode that's all about the people in the town and how they're affected by the club. The guy that owns the bar that's attached to the stadium, one of the diehard fans, a local band that plays at the pub who writes a song that mentioned Rob and Ryan and how it suddenly takes off. So you get all that going on. And then suddenly you get an episode that has a bunch of TikToker and YouTubers helping explain about this country of Wales, the history, the food, and there's a lot of humor in that, and Ryan and Rob are in that. And then we'll get another completely different episode that's all about the team and trying to win and building up to the next game and the practices. It is the most helter-skelter show I've ever seen, in the sense that rarely are 2 episodes alike. You will get a very dramatic episode, like when one of the players finds out that his son is diagnosed autistic. And it turns out one of the fans that they follow is also autistic. So they do an entire episode around the player and his son and this fan and the connection that they have and what autism means, how he found out. So you have this very dramatic show. This normally runs on FX, and then it plays again on Hulu. So all of season 1 is on Hulu, and the first 3 episodes, I think number 4 should be out this week. But so you'll get this entire episode about that. Or if you know anything about soccer, you know soccer hooligans are a thing, and that's younger fans who tend to pick fights in their territory when another opposing team's fans come to town, and their whole thing is they want to fight. And it happened at one of the games, and they went to the guy that got beat up. They followed him, and it turns out he was a Wrexham fan, and it was Wrexham hooligans that beat him up. They were just looking for a fight. And then they follow someone else who was caught throwing bottles during the game and gets a ban. And you find out how it affects him. It affects his family. So they have this whole thing about hooligans and where it started, why. You get it from both sides. And it's very balanced. And it's like, wasn't I watching a show about Ryan Reynolds buying a soccer team? But now I'm over here learning about this, this violence and stuff in a sport. And then we get another episode about them trying, where should we spend money? Should we bring in better players and how that works in there? It is one of the most bizarre but entertaining shows I have come across. And I watched all 18 episodes plus in the ones in the new season. And I'm fascinated by the show. Because like I said, they really go all over the place and you don't know what you're going to get. And if you're looking for something interesting to watch, I'd give it a shot, even if you don't like sports. Because the sports themselves, it's more caring about the players and the team and the city than it is about the actual scores. We know how important it is them to promote. And if you check ESPN and stuff, you can see what's happened. You can get ahead of it because this is done over time. But I wouldn't do that. I would watch seasons 1 and through season 2 before you look and see where they're at. Because I think where they are now is after season 2. So, yeah, it's a good show. I'm enjoying it. All right. We're going to take our other break and we'll come back and we'll catch up on our other shows and answer any questions you guys have. We'll be right back.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP.
Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula. You want the comics? You buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience. Comic culture and sales.
Go follow The Experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
everybody. Welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you, CJ. I'm glad to be back and looking forward to getting up to speed and, talking about Ahsoka and stuff like that. Ed, this is a real team. Wrexham is a real place in Wales. I think part of the reason I actually was drawn to it is my mother's side. My mother was born in England. Her father was born in Wales, so I was a little curious. There are parts where they're trying to teach Welsh. Welsh is an incredibly difficult language that uses way too many consonants and not nearly enough vowels. But I miss Batman Day. I hated that. I wanted to be part of Batman Day so bad. They did play two things I had pre-recorded, but missing Batman Day sucked. All right, but Wrexham is real. Everybody in the show is real. The only actors are Rob and Ryan. Will Ferrell and Kit Harington show up at one point too, but it's all real people, and Rob and Ryan are dealing with real things as well, And what's funny is that they actually work in some ads. So like they get TikTok to sponsor the team, they get Aviation Gin sponsors the team. Sometimes the commercials go right in. They get the groundskeepers to do a commercial for Stoke Cold Brew. I mean, it's pretty fascinating how they put it all together. It is a very unique show. If you are somebody who likes the idea of how do you craft a TV show and stuff, this is such a cool show to watch. So, all right, gonna go the last few minutes. I don't want to go too in depth on these shows because I want to give them their proper time. We will do a show about Ahsoka on Thursday after the latest episode, but I want to just give you my thoughts on Ahsoka right now. And I'm a little mixed on it. There's nothing wrong with the show. The show's good. But it feels like they're telling and not showing. The relationship between Sabine and Ezra, the relationship between Sabine and Ahsoka, there's a lot, why Thrawn is a threat. Those are all things that we're being told. We're not seeing it. I didn't see anything that felt like Thrawn was threatening in the show. It feels like these characters are being a little bit forced on us. And that's not a bad thing. They're not bad characters. But it does feel a little forced. I will say that my favorite characters so far in the show are Baylan Skoll and Shinadi. And I saw somebody, and thankfully I've forgotten what site it was because I would have just gone out and ripped them a new one. They posted, if they want to continue with Baylan Skoll going forward, what actor should take over the role? I'm like, really? The series is not even over. Ray Stevenson hasn't been dead that long, and you're already recasting. I hated that. I was angry about that. I love the character. I am saddened that Ray Stevens has passed, and doing so with such an amazing performance and such an interesting character. So, yeah, let's not bring up recasting the character. Jay says, hopefully they aren't thinking that flow over from Rebels cartoon can carry some of the story weight, waiting until it's done to binge it. Yeah, it just feels like you're supposed to show, not tell when you write. And there's a lot of telling going on. Only Murders in the Building. I have been enjoying that. It's a little bit different season, but I think it's coming back around, and I'm hoping they're going to nail the ending. That's been a lot of fun, but again, it's been a very different season. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to wrap that up and to see if there's going to be a fourth season. So, all right, the final thing I want to talk about, and I don't think most of you are sports fans, and I'm going to guess that most of you aren't Swifties. But there is this thing going on in NFL. The Miami Dolphins scored 70 points on the Denver Broncos. 70. That hasn't happened since the 1960s. They had a chance to kick a field goal near the end that would have made the highest scoring effort ever by a team. And they chose not to because they didn't want to run up the score. They felt that was classless. 70-20 was the final score. That's getting very little coverage. Players are getting hurt, out for the season. Very little coverage. What is being talked about is the fact that Taylor Swift showed up to the Kansas City Chiefs game to watch Travis Kelce, this guy that she seems to now be dating, watch him play, and sat in the owner's box or whatever with Travis Kelce's mother. Now, there's a lot to unpack here. Travis Kelce was part of the Super Bowl winning team last year. He played against his brother Jason Kelce, who lost the Super Bowl. His brother is a center for the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a podcast together. They have become very popular. They do a ton of commercials. Their mother, who had 2 children in the Super Bowl on opposing sides, has become an internet sensation. They all call her Mama Kelce. And suddenly she's sitting next to Taylor Swift at the Chiefs game. Now, I would not call myself a Swiftie, nor would I call myself a Chiefs fan. I like Carolina Panthers. I have a ton of respect for Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, and Mama Kelce for not only being the 2 boys being good players, but also how they're handling their fame and what they're doing with it. I have that equal respect for Taylor Swift. I think she writes good music. The songs I have heard, I have liked. The first Taylor Swift song I liked was Shake It Off, not because I heard it there, but because it was used incredibly well in an episode of The Magicians. Fantastic season 1 thing they did. So mad props to Taylor Swift. I love how she's using her fame to get people to register to vote, to bring attention to people. She travels to a city to play a concert and their economy booms. Okay? God love her. And if her and Travis Kelce could have a relationship and be happy, awesome. I hope the best for them. I absolutely do. But if you are a fan of either of them, then let it go. Stop talking about it. Stop covering it. Stop freaking out about it. Okay? Give these 2 a chance to actually get to know each other and decide if they like each other without everybody watching them. Travis showed up to the game in an outfit that Taylor Swift designed. Since it was announced that they were dating, that they were going out, and she showed up, Travis jersey sales increased 400%. to become the most popular jersey in the NFL. You have rabid football fans and rabid Swifties merging together in the most bizarre way. And I'm watching sports anchors working Taylor Swift song titles into their broadcasts now. Just stop it. If you actually care about these people or fans of these people, let them have their relationship. Let them actually get to know each other instead of making everything under a magnifying glass. Swiftie football, God help us, the end is near. Yeah. I'm surprised she's not going to do the Super Bowl, but it's going to be Usher. They announced Usher is doing the Super Bowl. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. It's all about Taylor Swift right now. And like I said, I think it's great. I hope they have a great relationship and they work it all out, but let them just be. You know, we don't need to have constant 24-hour coverage of this relationship. It's not going to help them at all. If you want them to be happy, leave them alone. Oh, God, I've wanted people to stop using clickbait in articles for so long. All right, guys, I think I got everything out I wanted to talk about. I will be back tomorrow. Don't know what we'll cover yet, but we'll see what pops up. This will be a kind of a weird week as get back up to speed. So, but thank you guys for tuning in. And we will see you tomorrow. Stick around. We have Minute to Skim It with Jay and Kyle and Miss Jen. And then we have Mint Hunter tonight. So stick around for that, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Good night, everyone.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.